it's funny because I do find myself having to explain it quite often. Global mobility is I put it in a nutshell to kind of the person who doesn't have familiarity is, it's an HR function that works with international assignments and making sure that people are compliant from a tax, immigration, labor law perspective, relocation, and so forth. So I think generally people kind of understand it, within that context.
Well, global mobility is taking care of a person who is going to work in another location that could be in the same country or it could be overseas, and is moving, and it has to change his whole life, his or her whole life, to do this. And also this person will take probably his family or her family with everything there is around them.
I think the core principles within the organisation is to plan as best as they can before they decide to move their employees. The challenge for most, companies is to know when they need to move their employees, but having manpower planning within the organisation would enable somebody to be able to move their employees at the right time to the right place, in the right manner, efficiently.
So I think at its essence, global mobility is really about getting the right people in the right place at the right time. So do you have the talent that you need in the roles where they need to be in order to help your business grow and be successful? So our department is used as a lever to pull when we need to get people to the right place in order for our business to be successful.
Well, it is challenging to explain to employees or to people about the limitations of working in different locations, whether they need a visa or don't need a visa. They could be causing immigration problems in the country that they go to. A lot of people think that just because they don't need a visa to enter the country, that they could just go there and work on a business trip, and that's not the case. And it is very challenging to explain to people that there are limitations, that there are rules and laws in place, that they can't just show up at the office and start working, that the immigration authorities could show up at the office at any moment and do an audit and do a check. So, and even with this, the Posted Workers Directive that's happening within Europe, it's going to be even more challenging. So it's a hard discussion to have with some employees who are responding to the business need of having to come and join a scrum and join an important meeting and be there on site. And just because they can enter the country doesn't mean that they can enter the office, and it certainly doesn't mean that they can work. And it could have implications and cause risks and fines. So these are discussions that have to be had with the employee themselves, but oftentimes if you have the discussion with perhaps their HR or their line manager, and everybody gets on the same page, it's easier to have those discussions and to work as fast as possible and as far as possible in advance of the trip being planned or being made. It's easier to get the business, the business visitor visas in place or the work permits that needed in place.
As we know, there is a global shortage of talent. And the global mobility function is instrumental in understanding the people needs of any organization, being part of those strategies and putting in place provisions and policies that will support attracting talent to an organization from anywhere in the world.
So they are part of strategic planning when mobilizing talents around by understanding what is the immigration restrictions, because some countries, especially in our Middle East and North Africa region, they are very sensitive and always changing. So you have to always be on top of your game and understanding what is the laws and regulations that you have currently in order to be able to provide the right talents. Because, for example, the things that has happened recently, some airports are closed, right? And we have already talents that we were looking forward to mobilize. However, due to these restrictions, now we need to look locally for local talent to make sure that they can come up to the same level of the talent around. So if you have the right information, the constant right information, and providing it to the talent and leadership team, they would be able to really strategically point out where people need to be mobilized.
Global mobility can branch out into things like remuneration, rewards, tax, immigration. It can also branch out into policy writing. It can also branch out in the public sector and branch out into a government diplomatic agency role. The options really are, I wouldn't say endless, but there is quite a wide spread of areas that you can further specialize in once you enter into global mobility.
Well, for a domain like global mobility, the opportunities are really numerous. You know, one can start as a specialist and an analyst and can grow into say a team manager role, or can also go on to the consulting side and provide strategic and consulting services to the business on global mobility policies and services. And the opportunities are not limited to the corporate side, but there are a plethora of opportunities on the vendor side or the supplier side as well. There are various household goods movement companies where you can have an amazing and a fulfilling career, and then there are other organizations which provide benefits related services for global mobility function. So there are career opportunities in those organizations as well.
Global mobility to the business.
Global mobility to the business is vital for a business that thrives on hiring and maintaining talent around the world. Global mobility is a very, very vital function to the organization. Global mobility ensures and helps talent, place talent where they need to be, so that they can do the job that they need to do to ensure a company's success. So to the business, it's an extremely vital function.